Hi guys. Hi guys, I'm just gonna grab some more stuff and get started. Okay, I think that I have everything. I'm sure I don't. Hi guys. Just gonna clean this jar of epoxy real quick because it's gross. epoxy, oh not my epoxy, my Mod Podge. There we go. Now it's like I have a brand new Mod Podge. Go lay down. Alright, where do we start? Guess getting fabric starts. I have so much fabric, it's out of control that I don't use any of this stuff. Got my Beauty and the Beast fabric, one of my favorites. I think it might have been one of the first ones that I ever used too. Alright, let me get a good piece, which there is no good pieces available, of course. How come I see comments on my computer, not on here? I don't know, I'm not seeing anyone's comments, but they're on my computer, so I'll try to catch them as I see them. Just trying to figure out how to get a good cut of fabric for this cup. Sorry guys, I don't know why I can't see your comments on my phone, so I guess I'm gonna have to watch my own live, which is really awkward to see your comments. My cup? I'm no cactus expert, but I know a prick when I see one. I'm just trying to make sure I get a good part of the pattern for this cup. One second, guys. I have my computer up because I can't for some reason see your comments on my phone. And it's really distracting to see me on camera out of the corner of my eye, so I just put a piece of paper over it. I don't know if conical wrap cutting fabric is a thing. I don't see why you can't like print a template like on cardstock or something. I just cut a rectangle. I love this Beauty and the Beast fabric, but the problem with it is every other cut you only get these two little panel things, and the other one you actually get like Belle, the Rose, the Castle. I don't want to gyp anyone by giving them this over that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. I have like 2 cuts of it already. I think you can do it with flannel. I never have, but I feel like I can't think of how to describe it, but it kind of gets like furry, I think, from what I'm thinking. So that might be a problem. I have done the 30 ounces, but personally I think they're a pain in the ass. And with certain prints that are like really like set up scenes, sometimes it kind of looks weird. This one is not stretchy. This one's just regular cotton, but I do have some of the stretchy ones. And I'm going to use that tonight too. That's a good question. What size do I cut this? I've just always had pieces cut already. This is 7.5 by 12, but I know we're gonna cut a lot of it off. We're gonna cut about 2 inches off, so you could probably get away with like 10. I use a red solo cup to hold my cups. It just happened to be the only thing at the moment when I did my first cup that was available, so that's what I use. Now I'm just gonna cover the cup in Mod Podge. Just the sides, not the bottom right now. My fabric's upside down because my cup's upside down. And I'm just gonna lay it down there. I'm keeping in mind right now what I want to stay on the cup and what I don't care gets cut off. So that I want... and smooth it out as you go. Making sure it's smooth, there's no bumps, it's all getting pushed down, and overlap it a little bit. Oh yes, that is important. I spray paint all my cups white. I had made that mistake when I was first starting, thinking that fabric will cover everything, and it does not. I fabric wrapped an orange cup and it did not cover that orange. So yeah, I spray paint the whole cup white. The dark spots, I'm going to cover that in a second. You didn't miss much yet. All I did was, I'm going to do this again with another cup anyway. And yeah, I always use the regular matte Mod Podge. No special reason or anything, I just do. Now so I have to wait for this to dry. I take this opportunity to do my first layer on the outside. So you're just going to coat the entire cup in Mod Podge. And this kind of puts like a sealant protectant on it, so that when you epoxy it, the fabric doesn't soak up with the epoxy and make the dark spots. Also, with this kind of fabric, you'll see you get like strays. When you Mod Podge it and then you cut it, you don't get those little stray hair things. So I take it all the way to the edge because we're going to cut the edge. Take it all the way to this edge because we're going to cut that edge and the bottom. not getting anything on my hands because my cup is in a red Solo cup. Hold on, I'm gonna grab my fan or we're gonna be here for hours. I'm gonna put this with my fan. So we're actually going to Mod Podge that a few more times, so between starting your cup and epoxying it, it's probably like a whole day's process between drying and Mod Podge and drying and Mod Podge. You want it really, 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 really dry, like really dry, because the Mod Podge will not dry once you put epoxy on it. I just have like these ugly white spots. Now the fabric I've been dying to do. I'm obsessed. I should have got more. And this is the stretchy kind that we're gonna do. These are good. These are really good for 30 ounces. He's eating all the cookies. I don't know why, that's my favorite part. This came from the Bare Essentials fabric group. I got it 2 weeks ago, and I think I actually got more last week. But yeah, the Bare Essentials fabric wraps. And I love it. So we're going to put this on a cup. Brandy, put it on a cup tonight. What are you doing? While I'm making cups, you can make cups. Kenya, what happened to your cup that you had to start over? So again, this is just another 20 ounce, and I'm just coating it in Mod Podge for anyone that wasn't here earlier. Not any special kind of Mod Podge. I use matte just because I always have. Coating all the sides, not the bottom. Brandy, I had to go on a manhunt for 20 ounce cups today. I'm also out. They were supposed to come today and they didn't. So I feel your pain. I'm going to upload this video to YouTube when I'm done, so you will be able to rewatch it even if for some reason Facebook gets rid of it. Because I'm not playing any music today. Now this one I really want to be picky and choosy on what I show because I really love this fabric. So the difference between this and the fabric that we just had is this will not slide. You will have to pick it up and reposition it. The other fabric kind of slides around. Oh boy. Alright, we're gonna do this again. So I'm being really picky right now. I've never had a fabric that I've been so picky with. Let's try this again. It's kind of on there. Smooth it out everywhere. Yeah, this is Gremlins. I got it from Bare Essentials Fabric Wraps. Just through, she has a website, but if you join her group, her website's like the first post that you'll see in it. And then every week she posts what she's going to post in her store on Saturday. Right now I've been buying my 20 ounces from Walmart. Since everyone else wants to charge $8 a cup and I don't really want to pay $8 for a 20 ounce cup. So same thing, I'm going to coat the outside in its first layer of Mod Podge. This fabric doesn't really snag. You can see these edges were cut and they're not like fraying. So going down all the way to the edge isn't that big of a deal. And you know you're going to cut that piece off. But you do want to coat the whole thing. I haven't made a fabric cup probably since before I moved, so like July. It's been a while. Oh, kitten. I think this cup is actually going to be my cup, because I like this fabric so much. So all I've done so far is applied it to the cup and then covered it in Mod Podge. It's still overlapped right there, and I'm gonna let it dry. In front of my fan. My cup says, "No cactus expert, but I know a prick when I see one." Brandy, yeah, I make ready-to-sell cups. That's actually what I'm going to do with the rest of tonight. I'm just going to pick fabrics that I want to do, and then I'm going to post them for sale on my Facebook page. They actually sell pretty good. I don't understand. I have most of these listed on my website, but as soon as I post them ready to sell, I get like 6 people wanting the same cup, and I'm like, well, they've been on my website forever. My favorite design to make, I actually love doing fabric cups. I haven't done them in a long time. I don't have a favorite really fabric yet though. Maybe the Gremlins one. I've been stuck doing teacher cups for the last 2.5 months. You didn't miss too much because I'm starting another cup right now. This time I'm doing another Beauty and the Beast, which is also stretchy, which I also got from the Bare Essentials fabric wrap. Yep, I will epoxy these probably tomorrow. Brandy, sometimes I'll sit on ready-to-sell cups for months before they actually sell. I think the last ones that I sold, I've had them since, I probably had them almost a year. But they sell eventually. So these are a mixture of the Members Mark and Ozarks, 20 ounce, and I've just spray painted them all white. Because I'm out of tumblers, so I'm kind of just using whatever tumblers I could find at this point. Actually, I think stretchy's not easier to work with, but I think it's because I haven't done that many of the stretchy cups yet. So I'm used to the other kind, but I don't really think that one's harder than the other. So I'm just coating my cup that I've painted white in Mod Podge. All the sides, not the bottom yet. For my ready-to-sell cups, I usually don't get requests to add to it. But if they wanted to add something to it, I guess I would just tell them it'd be like another few days. Usually they're like super done cups, but they're not like personalized type cups. My ready-to-sell cups, I guess it all depends on which ones. You know what? We're gonna come out of the red solo cup right now. Yeah. We are gonna be picky and choosy again because I really care what shows. The fabric, I get my fabrics all over the place, but these fabrics that I've used just recently I got from Bare Essentials Fabric Wraps. She has a Facebook group you can join, and she posts every Saturday morning what she has for sale that week. And this one's gonna be perfect. I'm gonna cut out Mrs. Potts, but such is life. Yeah, I get a lot of my fabric has actually come from Joann's. Tons of it. The Beauty and the Beast that I did in the beginning of this video came from Joann's. Just stick to cotton. So anything kind of cotton. I have two more Gremlin prints. I think I might have bought more last Saturday. I don't remember what I bought last Saturday. Michelle, I'm pretty sure you can make any fabric work. I've actually seen people make fabric cups out of LuLaRoe leggings. So I don't see why you can't really use a scarf. And again, I'm just going to coat my cup in Mod Podge to get my first layer on there. It's important that you get like at least 4 coats total on your cup, or you're gonna have problems when you epoxy it. You're gonna get ugly spots because the epoxy is gonna soak right into your fabric. Susan, I think I should have some finished cups laying around. I can grab in a minute. I'm gonna need more wine anyway. For every cup that I've ever done in my whole life, I've always used matte Mod Podge. And again, there's no like reason for it. It's just, I guess, what I used the first time, and just jar that I've always grabbed after that. Now we're gonna go back on our red solo cup. It depends how long. So if you're using a fan, I mean, my first one's already dry, and we've been live for what? My computer says 12 minutes, but I feel like it's been longer than that. This is already dry. And it's been dry. So with a fan, not long. But I had 2 more cups. I don't know what I want to do with them. I also got this from Bare Essentials too. A little nostalgic. 41 minutes, and I didn't start right away. So I don't know, I've never actually timed it. I mean, the Gremlins is already dry. I just have a little patch there that needs to get dried. So it's not long. I'm just deciding what to do on my next cup. Ooh, I know. Harry Potter. It's another one from the Bare Essentials. That's my favorite at the moment. And I got that one too. I think this is the first one I bought from her. Oh, this one I forgot about. I have so much fabric, it's not even funny. I had 2 bins sitting right next to me full of fabric. I will trim one. I'm just gonna get another one to start drying before I start trimming the other one. And I'll show you how I do my seams too when I do that. I love 90s vibe nights. If I could play music, it would be on. This fabric is probably it's 14.5 by 9. And you're not going to use 14.5 wide on a 20 ounce. So you're going to have fabric left over. Brandy, you and Sam make me feel normal because I love seeing your fabric cups on Facebook. It brightens my day. It makes me realize how much of a fabric hoarder I am. For a 20 ounce, I cut mine at 12 inches long, but I probably only use about 10 inches. So again, for anyone that's just joining, I'm just coating a 20 ounce cup that I primed white with spray paint in Mod Podge. On the sides, not the bottom. I want to take a sewing class so bad. I know the basics of sewing, but it's not like anything good. At least you have more reason than me to have this much fabric. I'll show you guys some of my fabric towards the end of this, if you're interested. My fabrics are from all over, but mostly these ones that I'm using tonight are from Bare Essentials. I'm a fabric addict, so I kind of just pick it up as I go. Just smoothing it out. See, so my cup's gonna end there, and I have this much fabric left. So the brushes that I use are Folk Art from Walmart, but for some reason my Walmart's not restocking them, so typically I have to replace them like every 3 months, because once you put it in Mod Podge, you have to keep it in water. Even if, no matter how much you wash your brush, it's always going to get hard, so I leave them in water forever, and then the bristles come out. And if Walmart don't restock my brushes, I'm going to have to get new ones. Spray paint, I just use white. Rust-Oleum. It's my favorite. When buying fabric, it really depends on what you want. So a lot of the custom print groups, which is where I got this, they sell them ready to use. Like, I bought it in this little cut already, so you'll buy, like, whatever I just said, buy the cut. But if you're at a fabric store, it depends how much you love that print. I always get a half yard or a yard. If I really like the print and it's a good price, I'll get a whole yard. Like the Beauty and the Beast one I used in the beginning, I probably have like 3 yards of that. You can get a lot of cups out of 1 yard too. And I'm just covering the whole cup in Mod Podge. This is just a cup. I just use any plastic cup that I have. I bought these to mix my epoxy in, and they were too, they're too big. So they're just water cups now. They're just plastic cups with water. Alright. Let's cut some of this fabric real quick, because I'm sure some people won't be able to chill with us all night. I hate this part. Where are my small scissors? Hold on one second, guys. I gotta find my small scissors. I really didn't think it was gonna be that easy to find them. One more second. A little more wine, because you guys make me nervous. Facebook Lives make me nervous. Alright. And also, I found one of my already done cups. Oh. Now I feel like I say water weird. What'd I miss? What'd I miss? Hi, Amanda! Amanda, wait. Amanda, I had a little problem with the bottom of your cup, but I fixed it. Look what's ready! I made these for a girl in our group, Amanda. For her sons. They are going out in the morning. Finally, after like 60 months. Sorry, I'm just catching up on your comments real quick. Melissa, you should paint it. It helps because some of this fabric is see-through. So it helps give you a base. Kendra, you'll know when you have to change the water because your brush won't get the paint off. Or the glue won't come off your brush. Then I just change it real quick. My cup says, I'm no cactus expert, but I know a prick when I see one. He's in the wrong room, actually. Paulina, thanks for pointing that out. I've already epoxied him once, I don't want to epoxy him again. Alright, time to cut fabric. So this is what it's going to look like all said and done. now the fun part. No, my seams aren't always perfect, but I kind of just pull it back until I know that's where I want it to end. In the design. Then I'll kind of fold it a little bit. It's hard now because we've Mod Podged it, so it's kind of a little stiff. I like to use electrical tape, but you can use washi tape also, but in my experience, washi tape doesn't really stick that well. Oh my god, my wedding pictures. I miss my wedding. It was so much fun. Alright. So, holding your cup straight, you just kind of want to look and see where your straight line's going to be. And then take your tape, use the ends of your cup to make a straight line. I hope I'm making sense. I've never actually had to explain this out loud before. We actually so I had 2 pits, and we got the cat because we have a mouse problem. We have a mouse problem because we have like 7 or 8 doorways into our house. There's just no reason for that many doors. So the mice come from the field across the street, so we got the cat. We just introduced him to the dog, so he's just now walking around free. He's exploring all the rooms, and he likes to be where I am. Alright, so I'm just making sure my line's straight. And I'm just pressing it down, so I'm going to cut on this side. Oh my god, it's always covered in glitter, everything. Right before my live, I went into my bedroom, my husband's like, what are you doing? And I said, cleaning and changing into a clean shirt. He said, why? So you can get glitter on it? Yes, actually. So I'm just pulling it off the cup a little bit. Yes, I still have my extra toilet in the master bathroom. That's still so weird to me. Why do you have 2 toilets? I have 5 toilets, you guys. I have a ranch house, and I have 5 toilets. Have you ever heard of anything crazier than that? We didn't make this house. We just bought it that way. We just bought it in July. I don't know why there's 5 bathrooms in this house. 5 toilets. So strange. So I pulled my tape up because I noticed that I went a little too in and my corner wasn't going to be covered. So that would have been showing. Oh yeah, if you are ever at my house and you have to pee, we got you covered. So now I'm going to use this to make my seam. I'm going to use this to make it straight. It's really only a 2-bedroom house. There's not even that many rooms. It's so weird. The guy that owned this house before us was so weird. I don't even know. So I try to do this pretty quick because I don't want, I don't have anything to show you, but I don't want it to be like wonky. I want it to look like one cut. So I'm just cutting on the outside of my electric tape that I'm using for my straight line. And you can reuse this tape if you're doing multiple cups. Now, of course, I mean, if you guys know what a 20-ounce cup's like, it's not a straight tumbler, so obviously it's not going to ever line up really perfect. Sometimes you'll just get one of them prints where the seam blends in. Obviously, this is not going to blend in. It's going to be the back of the cup. It is what it is. I have had customers that wanted their name on it, so I do their name down this side, and I do like an outline. And I don't have anything to show you what that outline looks like, but I'm sure most of you have seen, you know, words outlined on a cup before. But I just make sure as much is covered as possible. And if I can't, well, that's the back of the cup. Some prints are just like that. Denny, if you just bought this fabric and you haven't been watching from the beginning, be careful when you cut it, because you're going to get some really cute cuts like this that have them and the castle, and then every other cut's going to be like this, where, I mean, it's still cool. You got them, you got him and the, what's her name, the witch? Him turning her away, the rose. But I think most people want the castle. And then, yes, Ash, like an offset. Thank you. Yep, we're going to cut the top and we're going to cut the bottom. So, you see my top. I'm just going to trim right now. And you don't really have to. I think this just makes the next step after this a little easier. Now see, because we Mod Podged it, you're not going to get as many frays. So there's no frays. But you can tell when I cut it earlier, it's fraying. Can you see that? That tiny little string. When I get the chance, I do put the rose right on the bottom. But sometimes, the way that you cut the fabric, you don't always get that. Sometimes I've gotten this at the bottom. Sometimes I put the rose right at the bottom. Because I buy this fabric in yards, it's really just how it's cut, because I don't want to waste too much fabric. So again, I'm doing the same thing I did at the top at the bottom. Amanda, where'd you go? I'm just putting my scissors and cutting. I used to have really nice fabric cutting scissors. God knows where they are anymore. So now we're gonna close our seam, because you can see it's like, and now I have a little smaller brush, same brush, just smaller. So I'm gonna peel it back as much as it'll let me, not forcing it or anything. Put a little glue under there. Press it closed. This fabric is not special. I got this at Joann's, but the other two are special custom prints that I got from a Facebook group, the Bare Essentials. I always cover my bottoms, but even if I didn't cover my bottom, I would epoxy it anyway. Like, I don't cover the top of this, and I epoxy it. Nope, I don't cut it. So it's kind of like overlapped a tiny bit, but you're not even going to really see it. You can cut it if you are... I've done it before, where instead of cutting it this way, I just take my straight razor, and you have to do it all in one shot, and you just press it down hard along the tape and just drag it, and then you'll lift it up and you'll have that little piece, and you won't have an overlap. If that makes sense, I hope it does. You can do it that way, I just don't like to, because I've messed it up once. There's not really coming back from that. But you can't really tell it's overlapped when you epoxy it. This one's overlapped, and you can only tell a little bit under her hair, because the cup's white. But if the cup's not white, you can't really tell. So, again, real quick, we're going to epoxy this whole cup before we do the next step. And for those of you that are just watching now, we cover it in Mod Podge so that the epoxy doesn't suck up into your fabric and make ugly dark spots. And then we're going to cut another seam. Yeah, if ever you're confused about anything I'm doing or anything I said, just let me know, because I don't know if you think it's confusing or not, and sometimes I say things really weird. Michelle, typically I try to do 4 at least. 4 layers of Mod Podge. Seriously, I have so much fabric, it's out of control. I have 2 more cups that I prepped. So I'm just wondering if I should do another cup. This Beauty and the Beast one's nice too. You don't get that problem that I mentioned, because it's just repeat of the rows in them. That was nice. I got that at Joann's also. Joann's fabric group. So many good prints that I don't use. I guess I don't really feel like cutting fabric for another cup anyway. I only have 2 of them, so if you want one, I'll save it for you, and I'll do one. because I only have 2 of them and I don't know, those custom ones, I never know if they're going to come back again. So this one is kind of like a flannel. I haven't used it yet. I'm nervous because, like I mentioned before, I think it's just going to be a mess. I didn't know it was flannel when I bought it. I couldn't pass it up because it's Hey Arnold. I don't know if I have a Lady and the Tramp one. It didn't Mare. Maybe that was the one you saw? Or maybe she's just on one of those that I put in there. I have so much fabric I never use. This one's my favorite. I love diamonds. I will. I only got 2, Ashley, so I'll save one. This one, right? That you mean? Yeah, you can do half fabric and glitter at the top. I actually did one. I can't pull it off because it's epoxied right now. But it's a water bottle, so the tip I did in glitter. The problem with Joann's is you can shop online. It's very, very addicting. Alright, so we're going to cut another seam. And I really want him to show, but I also really want him to show. So let's see who gets cut and who doesn't. Does your fabric go all the way to the top, or do you have a little bit of silver showing when you notice that water's getting in? And you do have to epoxy them a lot. As you can see, this needs more epoxy. It's like, you can't feel it obviously, but it's a little rough around the edges. So I'll probably do 2 more coats on this of epoxy. I lost my electrical tape. Make a new one. I get my fabric all over. The Gremlins is from Bare Essentials, but I don't think she has anymore. So when I did my fabric all the way to the top, I noticed that I had that issue also. And I never did it again to find out if it was just it needed more epoxy. I just started cutting my rims just a smidge to give it a better seal. And I'll show you how to do this in a second. Yeah, in my opinion at the moment, until someone tells me that they have a better experience otherwise, I always leave just this itty bit. I think if Brandy's still watching, she leaves a little bit thicker, and her cups look amazing. I think she might leave the bottom and the top, and her cups look great. But I just leave this little tiny at the top. So right now I'm just trying to figure out where I want to cut my seam, because I'm really loving this fabric. And I really don't want to lose any of it. So we're just going to take electrical tape to make our seam. go over a little bit more because I got Gizmo already. I'm obsessed with this print. I should have got so much more. So right now I'm just using a piece of electrical tape to make sure that I have a straight line. So that's all I did. Yeah, Brandy's cups always look amazing. And I'm sure she gets an excellent seal because she leaves that little bit of silver. So even though I've painted my whole cup white, and I'm still gonna show you how to get that silver. Even though my cup's all white. I think that's as straight as I'm going to get right now. So I've just taken a piece of electrical tape. You can use washi tape too. I probably buy cheap washi tape because I don't really even use it. But I've just found that it doesn't really stick that well. And then I like to use small scissors. Smaller scissors, I feel like you have more control. I just epoxy them like normal. I just epoxy it like I would any other cup. I probably just do like an extra layer or two. And I'm just cutting right along my electrical tape. Hold on a second. So I can hear little dog feet patters out there, and I know it's because they have to pee. My poor dogs. So I've just cut along my electrical tape, and I'm just going to peel it off. And again, this isn't a print that you're really, I mean, if you get lucky, it's going to match up great. I've had cups match up great, but this just isn't going to be one of them. I'm going to do that silver part in a second. I was just waiting for that other cup to dry. So while that dries a little bit more, because you want it to be really, really dry when you do this next part. And I'm going to show you how to make the tool to do it with just stuff that you probably have at your house. So I have overlap, and I'm going to cut it. I do have a 10 cup turner. I got spoiled by my husband, who got sick and tired of hearing me cry. All my turners were breaking because they were getting overused, and I didn't make them that great. So I just cut, and it doesn't matter what it looks like because we're going to trim that anyway. And the same with the bottom. Yeah, I think my turner is pinned, I think, at the top of this group still. Like a video of it. So again, I'm just pressing my scissors. It's so weird when you're on camera, it's backwards. On the edge of my cup like this. I'm cutting. And we're gonna close our seam. Oh my god, Brandy, if I see another pencil cup after this week, that's it. I have like a handful of pencils to do left. And I've finally done all those damn teacher cups. I can't. So now we're gonna close our seam real quick. I'm just kind of like gonna pull up wherever it lets me. I'm not gonna like force it. Slide my paintbrush under there. And I use paintbrushes for Mod Podge probably just because I had a lot at the time, and that's when I started I used whatever I had. Some people use the foam brushes, and that'll probably work just as well too. I just use paintbrushes. I should have pulled my seam over. Patty, it doesn't have a supply list, but my husband is making turners, if we ever get the shed cleaned out, that is, to sell, but he will only make up to a 4-cup to sell. But I made my own turners, and I used the 2 big videos that are on YouTube right now. If you Google how to make like a cup tisserie, or YouTube how to make a cup tisserie, when I made mine, there was only 2 videos, but there's probably many more. They're not that hard. It's just, I'm too impatient to make them. So mine weren't always level. I'm also not an electrician. My husband's a lineman, so he wired all mine a lot better. That I definitely can't tell you how to do because I have no idea. So I'm just coating my cup in Mod Podge for my second layer. This one is just a few seconds away from being dry enough to do the next step, so I can show you how I make my tool. Because I do not know how sharp my blade is, so I'm going to make a new one. Because like I said, I haven't made a fabric cup since before July. And I'm just going to wipe off the excess, or it's going to take 7 years to dry even with a fan. You can put fabric on a 30 ounce. Jessica, my cup sales really fluctuate. So it's really hard to tell you, but an unhealthy amount, that's for sure, because I'm always stressed out. Actually, after Christmas, major changes are happening in the Lively household. And I will not be taking as many orders anymore. Thank you. I just actually got my tattoo worked on too yesterday. I just finally got it finished. Sorry for the armpit shot. No baby. Oh jeez. Lord help me. I am a baby. Hold on, I gotta let my dogs in. So I've never put like a decal on my fabric cups, but I have done names on them. And if I do a name, I just do it right down where the seam is. And I offset it so there's like a, you know, whatever you call it, a border around it. Patty, I have a supply list from when I made mine, I can probably send it to you. I sent it to a few people, so I could probably look it up on Messenger and send it to you. Alright, so this is the tool that I use to do this. My husband calls it my shiv. Sorry, I already got your 4-year-old addicted to tattoos. But tell her to wait until she's really sure what she wants. Alright, so we're going to make this out of popsicle sticks, electrical tape, and a straight razor. Don't know where I put it. There it is. I stole this from my husband, and I'm not always sure to get them to come out. There it is. Who gave a mad face? It's laughing now. It must have been an accident. Mad face is gone. Alright, so we're going to take 2 popsicle sticks. I want to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. So we're going to take 2 popsicle sticks. There's probably way easier ways to do this. So, I built this a while ago, and I don't know how many times I've used it. I'm not really sure how sharp it is, and I don't want to test it out on my skin or the cup I just made. So we're just going to make a new one. Plus, I want to show you guys how I made it anyway. And this one's kind of buckled. So I'm just going to put my popsicle sticks together. Super easy. Literally just duct taping. A straight razor. Popsicle sticks. And this one's brand new, so I know this is going to be sharp. This would go smoother if I wasn't doing this on camera, I swear. I just don't want my popsicle sticks to buckle. My husband calls it my shiv. And you don't want to do all your electrical tape in one area because it's going to make it bulky, so you want to pull it downward. That makes sense, right? If it's too bulky in one area, because you're going to use this as like a level, your cut will be off. Yeah, Brandy, I'm going to use this for the top of the rim. And there we have it, a brand new shiv. Or as I like to call it, I don't know, actually, now that I think about it, I don't have a word for it. The rim job. Does give a clean rim job. And we're just gonna put tape on the bottom so that it doesn't do that thing that it was just doing. Yeah, you should be able to always view this. I don't know how long Facebook keeps them in groups, but I'm gonna save this video since I didn't play music, and I'm gonna upload it to my YouTube channel. So even if Facebook decides to delete it, it should still be on YouTube. Oh my god, I'm obsessed with Orange is the New Black. An SD card cartridge. Now that is handy. But I guess, yeah, that's a perfect... Alright, so now we are going to do the rim. But my paintbrush is probably dry, so I'm going to put that back in the water. Now, if this isn't 100% dry, you're going to see why I said you need to make sure it's really, really dry. Feels dry. But if it's not, we'll find out. This part's pretty easy. You're just gonna lay it so it's... How do I do it? Definitely that way. Lay it so the razor's on top. So I'm just gonna put my... I like to start at my seam so it's less of a mess up. So here's my seam. Take my razor. And stick it in there. I hate this part. So I'm gonna press my razor into my cup as hard as I can while I spin it. If that makes sense. So here goes nothing, right? So I'm not moving the razor, I'm only moving the cup, but I'm putting a lot of pressure on the razor to make sure it goes into the cup, and I'm spinning the cup. And I hate this part, because I just want it to be perfect. Now I have a cut. And if I did it hard enough and if my razor was sharp enough, it should just come right off. Let's see. Yes. Yes. Beautiful. It worked. So now it's white, right? So hold on. And this is acetone. So I'm just rubbing acetone where the paint is, right on the rim. It's a little tedious, I admit, but I don't know. It's just the way I do it. I did. I painted it white. So, I mean, I guess if you didn't want to do this, you probably could tape it off while you paint it, but I don't know how you're going to get the same size. And this cup was black, so if you're seeing it black, it's because the cup is black. I'm really, really out of 20-ounce cups. I'm down to the last of the 20-ounce. Actually, this is from the last pack of Members Mark 20-ounce cups I had. But I figured this print will go well with a black rim. So it is important, whatever color your cup is to begin with, if you're going to show a little rim, it's important to think about the color of the cup versus the fabric, if that makes sense. And sometimes when it's like really giving me a hard time, I'll go back over it later too with a Q-tip. But for the most part, I just fold it, get a little acetone, and turn it off. It's not hurting my fabric. It's not breaking any seams or anything that we've done. And we're going to Mod Podge it again afterwards. I am continuously using another piece of the tissue, of the napkin though, because when you get too much paint on the napkin, as you've probably seen before, you get a little over wipe on the fabric, and I don't want that. Yeah, so I paint it white because some of the fabric is see-through in some parts. Like, some of the fabric's white and some of it's just really see-through. So it's, for me, I like to give my cups a white base. So even if it's see-through, I mean, you don't see anything. Today I actually just stripped a cup that I had done without prepping the base. I wish I didn't strip it before I could show you guys what it looks like. It was not good. It was one of my first fabric wraps though, like forever, not forever ago, a year ago. So like you see the castle, if this cup was black to begin with, that castle would be black. I mean, it would be very dark. Does that make sense? Oh, good. You already said it makes sense. Sorry. Alright, so you can see there's a little bit of white still. I'll probably go in later and clean it up a little bit. I'm going to make a bottom for this. That's what I'm going to do. So this was just a big cut of fabric. You're always going to get odd little snidbits like this. Just regular spray paint. Just white spray paint. So if I'm going to fabric the bottom of this, when I can, I like to choose the bottom, so I'm going to use her as my bottom because I have an option to choose that. This one, I want to say this is 100% cotton. But it doesn't say. And I got it at Joann's. This is like a common print for Joann's. So. I'm gonna take a pen. I think when I bought this, I looked it up on Amazon and I just searched plunger top bottle. Literally just typed in plunger top bottle, and nail salons use them, so that might help you look too. But this popped up, and it was a 2-pack, and it was perfect because I needed one for acetone and one for alcohol. Yeah, my mom got it from the Dollar Tree. When my mom was there, they only had one now. So I'm going to take the bottom of a cup. Usually I have one of these already made, so I'll just trace it, but I'm going to take the bottom of a cup. Make sure you guys can see everything. and you can see the back. So I'm going to place it down where I want it. And I want her and as much of him as I can get. Looks like what I'm going to get. And I'm going to just draw a circle around it. I don't know if you can really see it, but I drew a circle and I can see it. So typically I probably could have got one bottom here and one bottom here and got like maybe 6 bottoms out of this, but because it was a particularly good cut, I'm just going to use her. And then it is what it is for the rest of the fabric. I don't put anything inside my cups. I just put it like this, and then I have a Lazy Susan and I just spray it, spin it, spray it, spin it, spray it, spin it. Andrew, you need headphones. I did that last night. I couldn't sleep last night, and I had headphones next to me, and I put them in so I could watch YouTube videos while my husband slept. Who knew, right? Alright, so I have my pen circle, and I'm just going to cut right on the circle. And mine are never a perfect circle. Ever. Sorry. So now I'm just going to clean up my circle a little bit. But like I said, it's never perfect. That's just the way my life is, I guess. But it's pretty perfect. Perfect enough. Now I have a circle. So we have our cup. So there's 2 ways to do it. You could just cut it like I did, and then there's the old way that I used to do it, and I used to leave maybe like a 1/4 of an inch, and I would cut flaps in it, and then I would just glue the middle and fold over each flap, and then glue it on top. I don't remember why I stopped doing it that way, but I stopped doing it that way. But that's also another way to do it too. So I'm going to find my seam, point it towards me so I don't forget where it is. And again, this is just the way that I do it. There's no like reason. And I'm just gonna put her there. I guess like usually people will point it out and they're drinking and you'll see her if you're looking at the bottom of her cup. Who knows? It's just the way I do it. Yeah, you can PM me. I'm not going to promise that I'm going to answer it tonight, because after this I might just go right to bed, but I'll definitely answer it in the morning. I'm going to get some glue. And I'm just going to put Mod Podge right on the bottom here. I'm gonna check after this if I have any old fabric wrap cups on me that have the old bottom and see what the difference is. And just in case you have a little overlap, I'm just gonna do. Fabric wrapping a cup is kind of like wrapping a present. That's how I used to think about it. So my seam's pointed towards me. Here's my bottom. And I'm going to put it on like this. You are going to get just a little bit of an overlay. I don't even know how you would even measure that, it's so tiny. And I'm just going to push it down. Because we just put a little bit of Mod Podge on it. There's probably a lot of ways to fabric wrap a cup by now too. Also, when I started fabric wrapping last year, there was only there wasn't that many videos available. So a lot of this are all things that I've learned from other videos, and I've just adapted what works best for me from each video. I got a little string I'm gonna cut. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. I just saw that. Got it. It's on there. It was on there somewhere. So now, again, I'm going to grab my big paintbrush because that one takes forever. We're going to Mod Podge the entire cup again. And one more time after that before I even dare to epoxy it. But this time we're going to Mod Podge the bottom. And especially now, I want to get that rim because I really, really want a good seal because I have had these seals break and I'm dripping everywhere. It's the wine, it's not me. Cover the whole thing. And we're covering it so that we make a protective, it's kind of like a protective layer between your fabric and the epoxy, because tomorrow I'm going to epoxy these cups. And it's in a red Solo cup so that I can hold it while I glue it. Otherwise it would be a mess. I would not be able to put it down. There's a lot of things now that you, if you don't want to use a red Solo cup, that you could probably buy at this point to do this with. I just always have red Solo cups at home. So I'm just going to put this in front of my fan. So I'm going to do 2 more seams because in case I don't feel like finishing these cups, you don't really want to leave this like this for too long. I've done it overnight before and it's just not fun the next day. So if you're gonna leave your cup in any stage, leave it like this. Cut all your seams, you cut all your edges, you cut your seam. You're not really gonna make too many changes to that cup after this. And that's what happened to my tape. I crumbled it up. Did anyone see that I made it? Can't believe I made it. You're scared of the bottom, why? Of glitter cups? Glitter cups are easy. Good night, Patty. So I'm just choosing where I want my seam to be. points for Gryffindor. Yeah, so I just overlap, there's no, like, special place that I overlap it. I just make sure that when I cut it, everything's gonna be covered, and that what I want to be on the cup is on the cup. So whatever I want on this print is gonna be on this print, is what I mean. I say things weird, I think, sometimes. So, like, with the Gremlins cup, I was really picky and choosy about where I cut it because I wanted certain characters to be on it. This one's a short, continuous pattern, so I don't really care that much. So, you can see where it's overlapped. So I'm just going to pull it back as far as I can. But see? You can't pull it as much as the bottom because the top's wider. So we're going to go right about here. And it's a little hard because we've Mod Podged it already, so I can fold it to give myself an idea of where I want to put this tape. Especially with patterns, it definitely plays with your eyes on where the straight line is. I think that's about as straight as we're going to get it right now. Keisha, stop. Just look at Sam's boob pics. Alright, so I put my tape down, and I'm just going to cut right along the edge of my tape to get my line as straight as possible. I'm going to take my tape off. I got my seam. So now I'm just going to cut this. I'm going to cut this. Yeah, I like Illuminate. Even though I'm highly allergic to it. I switched to other epoxies and I just don't like them. So I risk the allergic reaction to use Illuminate. I guess that says a lot about an epoxy. But the other admins of this group, they love Promarine. Yeah, because I didn't do it. There's nothing in the background, so I should be able to upload this to YouTube like Brandy just said, but you should also be able to find it in the group too. I'm purposely sitting here in awkward silence so that everyone can rewatch this later. I hate it. So I'm just going to close my seam. I'm just kind of pulling it up where it lets me. Take my smaller brush, just get in there. I probably should watch some new fabric wrap tutorials, see what new techniques are out there. But I haven't watched a video in over a year on fabric wraps. So anything I'm doing, you know, there's probably newer and better ways. I definitely, if you're going to get into fabric wrapping, I definitely recommend watching other people do it, not just me. Because when I started doing it, I watched 2 or 3 different videos and I took what I liked from each video. Because not everything that works for one person is going to work for another person at all. Yeah, a lot of people love Pro Marine. I hate it. Me and Pro Marine do not get along. But that's another really good brand that some people, it just works better for them than others. Have you used Artworks yet, or you just want to try it? Brandy. So I put it back in my cup. And I'm going to epoxy the whole thing. And let it dry. So I switched to Pro Marine when I, at the height of my epoxy outbreaks, because it was sending me to the hospital every other week. And so I switched brands, and I switched to Pro Marine, and I will tell you, I never had an outbreak with Pro Marine, period. It's gotten on my skin, I've been in the same room with it, never got a reaction with it. But I feel like you have to mix Pro Marine twice as long as any other epoxy I've ever used. And if you don't mix it, you like piss it off, and it gives you these craters in your cups. Oh, it was awful. It was so awful. Pro Marine is for the patient people who know how to properly mix epoxy, which is actually a good thing. You probably should always properly mix your epoxy. But I feel like I properly mix Illuminate. And I never get the problems that I have with Pro Marine. But like I said, I mean, Brandy's watching, she uses it. The two admins on Tumbler Hacks also love Pro Marine. What works for one may not work for the other. I've never had a cup yellow yet. It's been a long time since I started making them, and I personally have never had a cup yellow. So that's good. Yeah, so, I mean, when I first did my first fabric wrap tumbler, I've only been making epoxy tumblers, period, less than a year. It'll be, what's today? It'll be a year, like December, that I've made my first epoxy cup. So when I started, I didn't have that many materials, so I just kind of used what was ever around the house. Red Solar cups are always around my house, so that's what held my cups. And I've been using it ever since. Fish eyes for days. I was like, so I went and looked at my first tumbler that I did with Pro Marine, and I'm like, what? I thought that I had put it on there and didn't, like, that I just put it on there and let it spin, that I didn't, like, smooth it out or something. Like, what the hell did I do wrong? But like I said, I've seen some people that use Pro Marine and their cups are flawless. Michelle, fabric was one of the first cups that I ever tried. I don't know, I just kind of just dove in, so I think you should also just dive in there. So I'm just lining up my tape where I want my seam to be, and I'm just going to cut right along. And this is a good example of not letting it dry too much. because I'm not able to really pull it up as much as I want. I don't want to hurt the fabric, but I want to get a good cut, and I'm not getting. There we go. So you don't want to let it dry too hard. I'm gonna have to go back and trim that later. So this seam's not going to be the best. Come on. Oh, I didn't trim the top and the bottom. That's why it's weird. So you see my tape's here, and then I have a little overlay. I'm just going to go in as much as I can and trim it off. And I got sassy and I'm messing them up. I've done that. I've done that many times. You get a little into it and you forget stupid stuff. At least that's what I was doing. Fabrics are really easy though. So I'm just going in right now and trying to lift it up as much as I can and get what I want cut off my seams. So I don't know if you can see it. Right there would really bother me because it's got like this thing hanging off of it. I don't know if you can see what I'm talking about. But if you cut your own, you'll see what I'm talking about. But you can't trim it too bad because the more that you play with this, the more your tape's going to get adjusted and you're never going to get a straight line. You just don't charade it. That's a good word. You don't want it to be charaded. Am I even saying that word right? Because now that I've said it twice, it doesn't sound right. Yeah, I mean, like Brandy said, I think she's talking about Pro Marine, but there's some people that'll tell you they've never had a problem with Pro Marine, temperature-wise, mixing-wise, and they live in all kinds of climates, and it just works amazing for them. Now, obviously, I know they're doing something different than what I'm doing, but I'll always tell you what works for one person doesn't always work for the other, but Pro Marine is a good epoxy, for sure. It's just not good for me. That being said, Aluminolite's not good for me, because I'm allergic. But I like it. So I'm probably not going to get to do the little rim thing again tonight, because it's starting to get late. I can tell people are already going to bed from the amount of people that are watching this, but at least you'll get to see it once. I guess I like 20 ounces the most. I think it's just easiest. But I mean, Brandy does some amazing 30 ounces, so. I give my epoxy a hot bath, but I also stopped doing it so much lately too because when the epoxy's too hot, I notice that I still get craters a little bit even if I use Aluminolite. Ooh, that's a good idea. I do have decorative scissors, but they're a lot thicker, So you'll probably need a lot more room to get your scissors in there and they're not thin like this. You know what I mean? But that would be cute to have a little scalloped edge. Actually, what is declaws? Am I even reading that right? Alright, so if you're gonna stop making these cups, like I said before, if you need to stop at any point, once you get your seam down and you've trimmed your top and your bottom, that's a good time to stop. Because if you're gonna do that little rim job that I did, like I said, your cup needs to be the most dry to do that. Because if it's still a little wet, your fabric's gonna move and then your line's never gonna be straight. So if you have to stop, this is a good stopping point. Which is kind of like where I'm at with this one. And I'm just pulling it up where I can, where it's letting me. And I'm going to take my small paintbrush, which you could use if you have a big one, it doesn't matter. I'm going to get it in there so I can put my little flap down. And push it over. See how it's kind of like ruffled right there? That's not going to matter. I mean, we're going to Mod Podge it again so that it's super, super, super stiff. But it's not going to matter because we're going to cut it off. So if you ever get like where your fabric's not, it's like bubbling a little bit. I don't know if you can really see it. But if you do a fabric wrap, you're going to you're going to get it once in a while, it's fine, because you're going to cut it off anyway. If that makes sense. If anything I say makes sense. My big paintbrush. My cup on my cup. When I use my shank. No, it doesn't scratch the cup. I mean, it hasn't, that I've noticed. If it did scratch the cup though, it would probably be right along the seam so you wouldn't even notice it. Decals. I'm like, what the hell is a declaw? What the hell is she doing to her cups? I have to declaw on epoxy them. This fabric I got from Bare Essentials. She's got a Facebook group if you look up Bare Essentials fabric wrap. Other than that, I pick it up in random destash groups or eBay or Joann's. There it is. Anyone got questions about anything that I've done tonight, didn't do tonight? Fabric wrap, not fabric wrap? Any questions, period? I think you can probably use any kind of fabric. Cotton will definitely work the best. Any kind of cotton. Thanks, Brandy. I get nervous when some things make sense in your head when you say it out loud. It's like, you have no idea. That's great, Ashley. That's great. Yeah, so the reason I'm not playing anything in the background, I'm sitting here in awkward silence, is so I can hopefully save this video and upload it to YouTube. It's really easy once you do it a few times. You just cut out your circle, and you're not always gonna get left with a print as good as this. Sometimes I get this, sometimes I get the rose, but sometimes they're just nothing. Like, it's just like, I mean, that's kind of like her, but her head's cut off. Other times I've had just, you know, like a swirl on there. It's just the luck of the draw, unless you want to butcher a large piece of fabric. So like I said earlier, if you get a yard of fabric, you typically want to cut it. I mean, the whole bottom's cut off of this already, but if you saw in the beginning, it had like a big rectangle here. You typically just want to cut it so that you have all even amounts of cuts. You don't want to have weird cuts in your fabric and get left with some kind of weird snaggly piece. So I kind of just use whatever is there for my bottoms. And some people don't put fabric on their bottoms at all. I don't think Brandy puts fabric on her bottoms. So I would keep cutting it like that. So I cut a piece out of there. I'll just keep going no matter what the print is. And then at the end, I'll get left with a little square like I cut out earlier. And that's what I always use for my bottoms. I put them in a little Ziploc bag. So later when I use that kind of fabric, I already have something cut to use for my bottoms. But some people don't like it. Some people don't like to put fabric on their bottoms, and that's alright too. I think I'm gonna try a few tumblers without putting fabric on the bottoms. Angela, I think in the beginning of this video I put the size measurements, but if you're just at home, just take your cup and just take your fabric and just wrap it around it. You just take your cup and wrap it. It doesn't have to be neat, it could be sloppy, and then just make a cut. And then you know where the bottom is, make a cut, and then just cut yourself a rectangle. If you don't want to measure it. But I think I said the measurements out loud earlier. Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to try a cup without putting fabric on the bottom. You guys love what I had to do to my computer screen. You can see it. I put a piece of paper over my face so that I could see your comments. Yeah, 9x14 is a good size. Like I said before though, I won't use the whole, you won't use the whole 14 wide though. This is actually exactly 14 inches wide. So you see where it ends right there? You're gonna get left with this much, which is also a good way to get your bottom too if you want to put fabric on your bottom. my lovely husband. I better turn off the outside light so we can go to sleep. Put these in water. So, yeah, that's my fabric cups. I have fabric for days that I gotta start using, or selling, or getting rid of, or whatever. Not my Gremlins one, though. Yeah, typically you want cotton. Not either of those, but I've made cups with paper. That reminds me, I was gonna do one of those, because I have to do another one, but I can show you one I did with paper. This is paper. It's actually from the book. I've always wanted to try the napkin though, because that makes prints look really cool, but so far I've just done book pages. Any other questions or concerns before I go to bed? Any questions on fabric? Or if I made anything confusing? My cat's in the epoxy room and he's not supposed to be in there. Say goodnight. Say goodnight. Alright guys, well I'm going to clean up and go to bed and upload this tomorrow to my YouTube channel.